Hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next. We'll just get things going. Just getting things going. Getting James logged in. We've got a new co-host joining the team tonight as well. James is working. He's working his magic.
Hi.
Hello.
How's it going?
Going good.
Oh, there's my ceiling.
Going good. I was just washing up my glasses after I asked you guys. You have all your glasses ready, and I realized I didn't have any ready. And the ones I did have, they weren't clean.
Oh, mate.
I know. And I thought I was a professional.
The professional.
Yeah.
I got a whole range of glasses today.
Oh, cool! Exciting. Don't tell it what they are. That'll be part of the excitement.
Yeah. Woohoo! A glass of water.
Starting with a glass of water. So next live tasting starting now. All right, we already got some people joining in the chat. Kirsty, some of our long-term drinkers, fans. Jane, welcome, Jane.
Hi.
Hi. How's it going?
Yeah, going good.
Pretty good. How are you doing, James?
I'm alright. I forgot to do my hair. There we go.
I thought it was looking pretty good.
Yeah, I just wanted that little bit of action going on.
The flat top is particularly. Whew.
Yeah, don't look on top. God, I'm getting old, you know.
Getting old. Oh, yeah. Kirsty and Matt. You guys are both there. Welcome, guys.
Hi, guys. I think I was just before I signed in, I saw they both already put posts up on Instagram.
Oh, have they?
Zobo.
Cool.
Oh, we got a pretty good wild beer team turnout.
Nice.
Not just you two. I wasn't only talking about you.
No. But we can't see who's on the chat, Brett. So you have to tell us.
Sorry.
Hi, Gemma. Hi, Gemma.
Hi.
Jane of the people or HR Jane? Or is she for the people?
For the people.
For the people. Got new Gemma.
Hi, new Gemma.
Hi.
Old Scott.
Ooh. Evening all.
Old Scott. How's it going, Shag? Albion. I'm expecting he's got a whole tasting pack of Strongbow to drink.
Yes.
Or Thatcher's Gold.
Thatcher's. Come on, James.
Is he a gold man or a haze man?
I don't know. I think he's more of a gold. We'll find out.
I reckon. He's pretty trad, isn't he? Hi, Laura.
Hello.
So for people who, and Sam, I see Sam. Sorry, Sam, just about missed you.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Long time no see.
Less of the old. So for everybody, I'll give you a quick rundown. So we've got Sam Shrimpton, head brewer at the Wild Beer Company. There's James up in the corner there. He is the barrel wrangler right there, right behind you. Yeah, there we go. And Jane is one of the brewing team, cellar team, everything team.
All the things, yeah. Making beer.
Not doing packaging it on you. Not lately. They need to steal you away to do some packaging, probably.
Put some cans, yeah.
Master of the centrifuge currently.
I don't know about that.
Laura is the lab hobbit. making sure everything is the way we want it inside the beers, all the right things are growing, or trying to discover what is growing when it is the right thing and we don't know what it is, like in the beers that James makes, the wild and sour stuff. That was a really weird way of saying that.
Yeah, who knows what grows in there?
Yeah.
The spontaneous stuff, the fruit stuff, the exciting stuff.
Scott joining in the chat. He says not too, a little bit less of the old. I called him Old Scott. He is warehouse, logistics, not procurement.
He's employee of the year 2020.
He is, yeah.
Let's see.
And he earned it.
And well, yeah. Well, he didn't bribe it. He tried, but no. And Alex, seller extraordinaire.
The Mexican.
A Mexican?
Yeah. He looks like Danny Trejo.
I need to see Danny Trejo.
He looks a bit like Frank Zappa as well. I'm painting this picture for everyone watching. So picture Frank Zappa and Danny Trejo having a baby.
So, oh wow. Well, just while we're chatting real quick, might as well, because I want to crack open a beer. First,
good thinking.
We're gonna go straight into it because I think just chatting about the team, and that's what I wanted to just kind of talk about just introduce some of the team that's making the beers. But first up, Liripip.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the glass I wanted. It was the first one I grabbed. Sorry. Damn it. I had another one specifically for this beer.
Oh, Brett.
Well, oh well. Okay.
Nice film call there.
Good, yeah.
I'm pouring it into another glass. I don't want to drink it out of that glass.
Fussy git.
It made a very big continental head when I transferred glasses.
Woof.
Very appropriate for a saison table beer.
Gonna say, I feel like I got the pour wrong. I've missed out here. It's not, a bit less impressive.
I always like pouring these glasses so that the stags, you can see the foam.
Yeah.
Or see the stags.
I can see the beer.
Just before talking about Liripip, I just wanted to say just a big thank you to Alex. Alex is going to be, he's actually going to be leaving us in a couple of weeks. Not thank you for leaving us. That's not what thank you so much for leaving us, Alex. No. But just he's going to be moving on to new pastures for him, moving over to Beavertown at their Tempest project, doing wild and sour things there. So thank you so much for your time, Alex. Dedication, focus, staying late, showing up early, working over Christmas time. Here's cheers to you. Oh, crap. Thank you. But, yeah, Alex will be... Oh, we lost James. James didn't like my empty glass. Bad luck.
Whoops, that's it. He's gone. Oh, Brett.
Just reading one. Oh, there's some love coming from down under.
Ooh.
Starting to warm up the evening. Here he is.
Hello. Sorry.
Oh. I know, we've swapped. This is confusing.
Yeah, so how's it going, Tristan? From down under. So you're in Australia now, I take it.
Strofe, mate.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Oh.
Bringing out the Australian James tonight.
Try and keep quiet for a minute.
Oh, we've got James, past team member, James Goulding.
Jimbo Jones.
Yeah. James was our export manager few years ago. Did a great job. Also, just kind of moved on to pastures anew.
Working for them Southerners now, isn't he?
He's it.
Working for them Southerners now, isn't he?
Yeah, them Southerners.
Down Murmur.
Don't want to say their names.
No, better not.
No. No. Just kidding. So Liripip, 2021, 2021 Liripip. So in 2020, this beer was kind of created, and the DNA of this beer is actually Murmur as well. So good that we're talk about both of those kind of very similar beers, kind of amped up in Murmur, bigger, higher alcohol, and the different flavors of the hops, and the fermentation comes out. But in Liripip, we're looking for. Oh, James is having some trouble tonight.
It really is.
That's all right, James. It's all right. Things happen. I might need to let my cat out the door.
You say I'm having trouble.
Yeah. So in Liripip, we're looking for a table beer, and a table beer was kind of, I don't know who coined it. I should have looked that one up. But do you guys know where that term table beer comes from?
I don't know where it came from, but the first table beer I ever heard of was Colonel's.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing it's just like I mean, it says what it is, isn't it? It's something you can have with your lunch, with your dinner. You have a big jug on the table, and you can drink as much as you want because it's low ABV. Maybe not as much as you want, but it's a
because you get kind of table wine as well, right? And that's generally often kind of like it's the less intense and maybe less expensive, maybe less alcohol, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. It's that like everyday drinking wine, and that's what this is. So with making table beer and making beer that's at like 2.5, this is 2.7% alcohol. Some of the struggles there is actually, or one of the beauties of beer is that we can just keep putting more and more ingredients in. Unlike, say, wine. Wine, you've got grapes, you crush it, and you ferment the juice and you get your wine. With beer, we're able to concentrate the sugar from the malt. So we can make barley wine, like up at 11, 12, 18% alcohol, or we can lighten it up and we can use a fraction of the ingredients and make a table beer. And so that's one of the beauties about brewing versus like winemaking and cider making, because it's a lot more akin to cooking and cooking with butter. So if you think of cooking with butter, it's easy and it's almost cheating. I always think of butter and bacon. Everything's better with butter and everything's better with bacon. So the connection here, is kind of making beers with higher alcohol. You get more flavor, you get more calories. So your brain is saying, "Oh, this is good." It's kind of ticking the boxes. It's usually sweeter when it's stronger. And so what the challenge with the lower ABV beers is the same with trying to make low calorie food. You're putting less calories and less ingredients into low alcohol beer. So you've got to try to boost the flavor in other ways, make it taste amazing. And what we've done here is use our our 8 years of experience of fermentation to kind of capture the umami and mouth-filling character that fermentation can bring. And we use three different yeasts in this one, and as well as in Murmur. And we've actually been working with international, like one of the leading yeast labs, brewing and fermentation yeast labs and kind of, I don't know about pioneering, but creating a blend of yeast that they actually sell now, that we've been working on with them. And that's 2 of our yeast strain of these yeast strains. And we add in our 3rd kind of secret sauce at the end, with the dry hop. But that kind of gives a note of Belgian-y character, maybe little hints of sweet pear, or a little touch of apple. And then there's wine yeast in there, which gives it a spicier, drier kind of note. Do you guys have anything else in the Liripip that you taste or that goes in it? Want to talk about it at all?
Good question.
I mean, we've made a few iterations of this now, haven't we, Brett? And I mean, this year we've really kind of gone for it a bit more and tried to build a bit more hop character, because like you say, it's all about building the flavor through the fermentation and the yeast. But we've had a lot of really kind of fun and really great hops coming into the brewery recently, and trying to kind of maximize those to accentuate those other flavors other than the fermentation, which has been quite exciting from a, taking care of the beer perspective, trying it with the dry hopping. And
I think dry hopping this beer has been really key.
Definitely.
We use a lot of kind of some of the cutting edge ingredients in beer is often around hops. Excuse me, it's already on the rise. It's often in hops, because hops are an incredible flavor and aroma source in beer. It's the spice and some of the life of the beer, especially in IPAs, like we're going to taste later, but in this beer as well. And so one of the innovations in the hop industry has been to concentrate the hop by freezing it extremely cold, like minus 32, I think. And it's really, really cold. Then they hammer it all up, and all the ice crystals that come out are actually, that is the goodness that the brewers want to make IPA. And that's called cryo powder. And that's been an innovation. But the byproduct is this leftover, that's called brack. And that's that has a small amount of the remaining lupulin, or the green gold that we want, still in there, but it also has a lot of leafy material. And so we actually buy that co-product, not byproduct, co-product, and they call it American Noble hops, because it's got some bitterness, it's got aroma, it's got flavor, and it's creating less waste. And we use that in Liripip along with a portion of that cryo. So we kind of smash them back together.
So you're making fresh whole cone hops out of the processes.
It's like a Lego.
Process without the
deconstructing and then reconstructing.
Just like any good food scientist.
That's the one.
So with all of that, with the hops being trying to find, we quite like hops at the Wild Beer Company. We like the aroma and the flavor and the bitterness of it, and but there's always a balance to find. Sometimes we might want to tip that balance, like in Madness IPA that we're going to taste later. We kind of tip it towards the bitter side, where this one we really kind of want to balance that teeter-totter thing. What do we call it? Do we call it a teeter? What do we call that here?
Seesaw.
Seesaw.
Like a balance. Yeah.
We want to balance the balance in Liripip, and try to really have all the ingredients, kind of have a beer that really tastes like beer, but kind of elevated. So you can taste the malt, you can taste the yeasts, the different yeasts, and taste those hops, and kind of everything's a bit elevated. That's what we're looking for in Liripip.
I don't drink it much. I much prefer bigger beers, and I think one of the things is that like the alcohol really carries hops, the flavors of the hops. That's what makes making a beer like this quite hard, from what I understand. But it's just really nice. It's really floral. It's got this lovely lingering bitterness. Like there's enough body in it. That's another thing I find with low alcohol beers. They just lose that body, and you either get sweetness and no alcohol, or you get like water and alcohol. It's a really tough one to make, from what I understand. And this is surprisingly good. I haven't had it in ages.
It's been Andrew and Giles. So Andrew, co-founder, myself and Andrew set the brewery up 9 years ago or so, and Andrew and Giles, the sales director, Andrew and Giles love this beer. It's one of their top beers. They always talk about how much they like it. Don't know. Yeah, they love it. And it seems to have like it's not quite as strong of a Marmite affection, but just like people who like it definitely like it, and people who don't prefer it are like, yeah, it's good. It's just not my type of beer, and is that kind of thing. Where once we get into more sour beer, like we're going to, it's a lot more Marmite. Like, no, not for me, or yes, definitely. Yeah. It's a good question. Brad, welcome. Have you guys found that the lockdown situation has helped or hindered your brewing? Is there anything you've done that you wouldn't have tried in normal times? Uh-oh, what are you gonna say? You're gonna reveal something.
We did our first turbid mash.
Yes. What was that? Well, we would have done that.
Well, it's been 4 years and we haven't.
But lockdown didn't create that.
Hey?
You could talk about it real quick.
No, the reason we wouldn't have done it was like having that bit of space to think about it, I guess, and get it all planned out properly, and then jump on it and get it done. I don't know. I think for me, that's top of the list.
I'll leave that up. Yeah, I think that giving us time to think about things has been good, because so I think Andrew might have replied, or someone might have replied to Brad in the chat room. I can't see who's replied to who. I just see a big stream of consciousness.
And we can't see anything.
We can't see anything.
Sorry. So yeah, lockdown has definitely hindered the company quite a lot, or at least it feels like it has. But it's kind of just lowered the tide. The boat's kind of everybody's lowering a little bit. Everybody's lowering, not just us. But the sense of having the ability to kind of take that time, like you said, James, has been really nice to kind of take stock and go, hey, we haven't been able to do a turbid mash, which is when we make our cool ship beers, the spontaneously fermented beers. What a turbid mash is a certain way of processing the malt where we get all of our sugar from, and it's a way of adding lots of hot water, minimal amounts of hot water to raise the temperature in this mash porridge of grain and water to different temperatures to extract different enzymes and awaken them and create different flavor and fermentability in the wort. But it takes like 9 hours to do all that. Like, it's crazy.
I think traditionally it was like a 14-hour brew day.
Yeah.
It was all tax evasion pretty much. So the Belgians had a they had a tax on the size of their mash tuns, so they get the most out of their mash by putting a little bit of water in, then taking a bit out, taking some of the wort out, and then putting more water in, and just filling it up and filling it up. And they've made these amazing beers called lambics and gooses. Yeah, the people that love them love them.
No.
You've done it again, Brett.
We're getting in about 20 minutes on Liripip. We definitely need to get going.
Another thing, just going back to the
IBIMI
situation, like
I'm
doing things like this, because not only do we get to talk to everyone about the beer that we're making, but it gives us ideas of what new beers to make. And I think everyone, like buying the boxes and stuff, they're helping us to keep going.
It has, and that's where I was going to go with it. Was just talking about the zigzagging that it's done, and really creative work that we've done with our beer, or with online tastings. So this has been amazing doing these online tastings to me. Does every one of your glasses say beer on it?
No, only, well, maybe.
Mine says beer this time as well.
Yeah.
Mine doesn't.
Oh, the odd one out.
I've got one that doesn't, and it's one of ours.
So IBIMI.
Oh.
Reminded us. Yeah, okay. Just Kirsty's saying it's reminded her of. She's corrected herself. It says reminded us of Blue Indigo. I think
Indigo Child.
Indigo Child.
Indigo Child, yeah.
Yeah. James, do you have any? Did you have a?
Well,
you want to intro this one?
Yeah, I guess we'll talk about this. This was quite a big beer for us, quite a big project for us at the end of last year. So this is a Goza style beer. Brewed the unlike Liripip, which is kind of all about the hops and the yeast and the whole, it's quite a simple kind of base beer, salt and coriander, no hops in the brew, and then much like we ferment it, much like our sleeping lemons, I guess. We did this one with souring with lactobacillus in the fermenter. So we do all of our souring at Wild Beer. We do on the cold side, which no kettle souring as we may have talked about before. So it's all done on the cold side. We handle all the bugs in the cellar. So we add the lactobacillus at the beginning and let it bring the pH down. So you get this kind of lovely sour tartness from all the lactic acid that they're making. And then I think we pitched 2 strains of Brett into this one. Ooh, look at that.
I don't remember.
Britannia.
I had tried to have a quick look at the brew sheet earlier, because this is one of those beers that we brewed a lot of it in a very short space of time, which is always really exciting when we get projects like that. But then you do it and it's all about that for a couple of weeks, and then it kind of goes to the back of your mind. And I think, we soured it and then added lots of fruit. So cranberry and lime zest, not zest.
Yeah.
Zest?
Yeah.
Did we use that, like, what do you call it? The comminute, so it's like the whole lime, the juice, the zest, the whole.
I think we used both.
Yeah. Which is kind of, I always find that quite exciting, a bit more than just the juice or the zest. You get the whole thing, that kind of lovely bitterness from the And when you don't add any hops, like all that kind of flavoring is quite, I don't know. I appreciate that kind of fruity bitterness to balance off everything else that's going on.
In tasting it, it makes me like want to be in the summertime. It's really nice.
Yeah,
and I think that's really good about like with beer and seasonality. You can always handle some summertime in the winter, but it's really kind of hard to handle the winter time in the summer.
Yeah.
Big, heavy, rich imperial stouts on a hot day in your t-shirt and swim trunks or something, and not quite right. But in the winter, you can easily have kind of this. When I was thinking of making this beer, I was actually reminded, and in my mind, I was going towards kind of pink lemonade with lime, and like this. My dad was in the summertime growing up in California. My dad would make a whole gallon jug of lemonade, and sometimes he'd use limes once a week, and we'd have it in the fridge, and throughout the week we'd all get a glass of this homemade lemonade, and it was great. And I really liked it when we'd put in a little bit of cranberry juice to make it bright red and kind of give it a little tannic character. I didn't know that back then, but it would just made it different. And so this is like this cranberry lime lemonade kind of cocktail mashup. If you like cocktails, this is the kind of beer for you. We've got one other one similar in that vein going to come up as well. But that's IBIMI. So this is all wild and live sour beer with live bacteria that is very similar to like a probiotic bacteria like you find in yogurt, and yeast. So the magic of fermentation, creating balance of flavors. Incredible.
Mm-hmm. And coriander. It's got coriander in it, hasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it said.
And coriander.
And coriander.
Yeah.
And coriander. We'll move quickly into the next one to kind of catch up, just because it's 8:30, and someone's already said they're like, "Oh, I'm 3 into it, guys. Come on in." But it'll be Murmur. We're gonna have Murmur next, and we're just gonna put this out. Just if you're interested, if you're liking this type of interaction and hanging out, we have gone live with another tasting box on the online shop that's available for pre-sale right now. Wanted to put it up now today so that just to grab your interest right now, if you're liking it or you feel like you're missing out because you did not buy this particular tasting box, you can go to our online shop. Hopefully there's a link in the description, but just go to wildbeerco.com and hit over to the boxes, and it'll be there. It has a special little icon saying tasting box.
Definitely a link on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
So it's the Babbling Brook tasting.
Yeah. So just we'll probably talk a little bit more about it in the IPA when we have Madness.
At the end, yeah.
But yes, the box is an IPA or hops tasting box. And I'm going to be interviewing and talking with a UK hop farmer that we have partnered with that have been doing some pretty cool English hops in like a modern approach to capturing as much aroma and as much flavor as they can into those hops. And we've created a beer with those hops that we're going to be debuting in that tasting box. So get over there. There's 10% off with that code that's going around on the bottom. And I think that code is going to be live for a day or maybe more. Liv in the chat room will bring it up. Will correct me or tell me. So, Murmur. James, do you got anything on this one?
This is Liripip's big brother, I guess.
Yeah.
Murmur. Ooh. So I wanted to do an advert for it, and no one would bloody let me do it. We had this Irish lad called Craig. He's gone off to work for Whiplash, and he looked a little bit like Freddie Mercury if you put him in like what is it, spandex.
Spando.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking of Spando Ballet.
Yeah.
And we've got a lad called Simon, and he's got really curly hair. And they would have made the perfect Freddie and Brian May double act in their spandex. And I wanted to get a stage in between some of the tanks at work, and it goes, Mama, ooh. And then instead of pyrotechnics, we just have yeast, 2 different types of yeast shooting into the air and smashing together in the top. And then after that, it would go quiet. And I've forgotten the last bit.
Yeah, that last bit was the best part.
Oh yeah. So we never. Well, Andrew always complained he never knew how to market this beer, and it would go, but what is it? And then it goes, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And I think we would be swimming in it right now, but
so very quickly, and we'll still talk about it, but I'll just give you a quick rundown before I ask Kirsty's question to these two. Here's her question. Just a quick tasting notes on Murmur. So Murmur was created to be a white wine inspired kind of replacing, not replacing, but being the one of like, it was, let me rewind.
It doesn't really matter.
Sorry. Murmur was inspired by white wine and kind of the body and the character, the gentle acidity. But with Murmur, we have malt to play with, not grapes. And so we get this added, we can create kind of like this added juicier, fruity, not fruity, but juicier character from the malt. And the fermentation on this also uses those same 3 yeasts, kind of this ale yeast and 2 wine yeasts that give it this extra body and extra kind of this unctuousness to it. And then also the hops in Murmur are they're kind of a Venice-like hops, so that we use both Nelson Sauvin and also Hallertauer Blanc. And they, on this particular bottling and this bottle, how it's presenting itself now, I'm getting kind of this like honeydew melon almost, which I don't usually get out of this beer. And I think that's kind of the malt sweetness coming in and the fruitiness. Really nice. So kind of, I would love to have kind of like an antipasta, like cured meat prosciutto would go amazing, right? That's what I would.
You just reminded me, I've got some salami in my fridge.
Yeah. Oh, I could have what is it? What are those ones that like kids eat? Like meat sticks.
Oh, like pepperami.
Pepperoni, yeah.
It's not really what I was.
Sometimes I like to wrap my salami around a bit of cheese, like a cow in a blanket, I guess.
Oh, lovely, lovely. This is great tasting notes. No, sorry. That is a whistle stop tour of what Murmur is. It's been an amazing beer to make and kind of not engineer, craft. And the DNA of this beer is also found inside Wild IPA. So this is kind of our, this has become, especially in 2020 lockdown, it gave us the time to focus on that yeast blending project and really perfect it and hone it in. Where from Murmur, we then created Liripip and Wild IPA. So Wild IPA just being this knockout IPA built from the ground up to go perfect with any food. So if you're liking these ones, definitely get some Wild IPA. It'll be in the next tasting box.
Good plug.
The first time we tried blending these yeast, it wasn't the same yeast, but it was similar. It was like Belgian ale yeast and a wine yeast. The two first beers I remember were Beyond Molars 5 and what was the other one? Breakfast of Champignons. No.
Oh.
Sorry, I had to eat that.
Don't eat and talk. What are you doing? Hey, Jane, just keep eating. Hey, Jane.
It's that half alcohol beer. It's gone to my head.
Yeah. Jane, just wait. Jane, how did you start brewing?
Good question. I went to brewing school. That sounds like the most rudimentary way of putting it. But I was at university. I was studying biochemistry. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but and I was doing pretty badly at it. So they gave me what was considered to be a really terrible third year project for my final hand in, and it was all about not fermentation, but all about the aging of yeasts that are used in wine fermentation. And so I was doing a lot of reading around that kind of yeast, and that was really interesting. I was because I wasn't doing very well, I was not going out on the town, but spending quite a bit of time in my local pub using their Wi-Fi, drinking lots of beer. And I thought, oh, I like beer. The yeast is interesting. And it was a kind of potluck, really. I was studying at the University of Nottingham, went online, and I had no idea there was a brewing school as part of the university just up the road. So I went up and had a chat with them. There was a brand new course starting just in time, and I thought, oh, great, it's another bit more time to figure out, what's going on with the world and learn some more stuff about making beer. And really good decision, I think. But there we go.
Yeah.
So have you done any home brewing before that, or
had I?
Yeah,
a bit, but kind of very, very basic, very studenty home brewing. I don't know how else to put that. I remember being that was quite a thing when I was still living in halls. People just making beer in buckets with malt extract and stuff. So very, very kind of rudimentary, but not really. I still haven't done a whole lot of home brewing. I have, because I've moved around quite a bit in the last few years. Moved down to Somerset and then around in Somerset, and I've got all my home brewing stuff. And I think actually I've done more home brewing at work than I have at home. Just little brews on the Braumeister at work.
So in the last month, quite recently, you've stepped in and helped quite a lot on kind of small trial batch brewing.
Yeah.
About pilot
at the beginning of that. Yeah. So
because that's often a question that I get is how do we try out these recipes and try out the beers when they have such wacky ingredients, or just how do you try out a new recipe even if it's not wacky ingredient? Wacky ingredients like in Zobo.
Yeah. Pretty wacky.
Yeah. So James, did you what were you saying?
I can't remember. What?
Before the salami.
I don't know.
Well, okay. Well, how did you start brewing?
You made me do it.
Okay. Well, okay. There's that one. We're gonna try Zobo.
Yeah. I got a job on your online shop, working on your online shop, delivering lovely beer to lovely people like you guys watching now.
I thought you were saying you got a job on the online shop, like you bought a job.
Yeah, I didn't word it brilliantly. I'm being a bit thrown. That bit where you interrupted me. I'm joking. You can't throw me.
So we're moving on to Zobo. So Zobo.
Oh, look at that colour.
I know. I was just admiring it. It's quite something.
Zobo. We'll talk a little bit about this. But
Brett watching?
I don't know, but I'm not going to get too distracted by this sorry. This is going to be a little bit into it. So I always get a taste of mustiness on the back end of a kettle sour, so I don't drink them. But never from a proper sour like yours. Smiley face. Well done. What is that, and how do you get rid of it from a brewing perspective, or can't you? So we'll talk about that in just a second, but I'll lead into that with this Zobo. So because Zobo is a sour beer, it is a live sour beer that we did not kettle sour, but we did not use any bacteria in this sour beer, which is, if you were to say that a little bit ago, it'd be like mind-blowing. How do you do that then? So Zobo is, on the face of it, Zobo is pineapple, hibiscus, sour beer with a little bit of sea salt. Is there coriander in this one? Am I going to get surprised again? Ginger.
Some of my own hair.
Yes. Yeah, we don't talk about that. We filtered it, right? Through your beard.
No, I was helping canning it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Those is gross. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry, guys. That did not happen.
Yeah, no.
Real ginger from a root.
So we used, so it's kind of delicate on that fruit, that pineapple, but the hibiscus gives it this lovely pink color. The ginger, like kind of this warming aroma, floral kind of character. I get it. It's more floral than spicy and warming, actually. But I really like the balance on this one. It reminds me of kind of that balance in fruit juice, that sourness and sweetness together.
I think the hibiscus gives that kind of dry, sugar, sorry.
Dry sugar.
Dry sugar.
Sorry, I keep getting sent messages.
Stop
I keep laughing at nothing. But I accidentally pressed it at that time. I was trying to flick it out of the way. The hibiscus gives that kind of dry, tannic bitterness, a bit like what you were explaining, Jane, with the lime.
Because I was tasting this pre-show. It was pre-loading, not really. And I was like, oh, has this got lime in it as well? Oh no, are we doing 2 lime sours? Uh-oh. I went back through all my notes, like, oh yeah, we brewed this. This is not lime. But so this beer is not brewed with bacteria, but yet it is not a kettle sour. And we did not just add a bunch of sour citric acid or lactic acid to it. We used a really innovative or cutting edge brand new yeast strain called Philly Sour. And actually, if if Russ is in there, his name is if Russ is in the chat, he'll put up the technical name of Russ. Russ, he. So this yeast will ferment. It will first produce lactic acid, which is not very common at all. It'll first produce lactic acid, and then it will start a fermentation phase and start consuming the sugar and turning it into CO2 and alcohol, which is incredible, because usually bacteria just creates acid, different types of acids in a typical sense. There's always little rule breakers out there. But
I mean, Brett creates acetic acid, but you don't really want that in your beer.
Again, yeah, like there's little rule breakers out there. In the same way, this yeast breaks the rule that the rule of thumb, at least, of that like yeast does not create that much acid. This yeast creates a notable amount of acid, so we can create a quote unquote clean sour beer. That for us, that's a really cool thing because we can be. It doesn't cross-contaminate the other beers in the same way bacteria can cross-contaminate. Just like when we think of cross-contaminating with bacteria, it's the same way a chef thinks about cross-contaminating like raw chicken and then using that same chopping board to cut up a salad and then eat that salad. You wouldn't want to do that. That will potentially hurt somebody. In our world, it won't hurt somebody. It'll just make beer taste bad, and our reputation will be ruined. So we won't hurt anybody from it, but that's the cross-contamination, the same kind of things. We got to clean really well, use dedicated equipment, but this yeast allows us to be a little bit more cavalier, a little bit, so that we can share some of the same equipment. That was very technical.
That was deep, man. That was deep.
There we go.
There we go.
Laura's gone deeper.
I'm never sure how to say it. I can see the word in my head, but for what kind of yeast it is. But I just...
Lachintia?
Lachincia.
Lachincia.
Lachincia. That sounds like an off-ramp in like Southern California. Oh, I'm gonna pull over in Lachincia to get some tacos.
Tacos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we played about with it a little bit, haven't we? We made lemon IPA with it, which is that Nigerian inspired came up. As I said, we made lemon IPA. Like,
sorry,
through me. That's all right. Yeah, Zobo is based on a Nigerian drink called Zobo. You were looking it up earlier, weren't you, Jane? What's its full name?
Oh, I can't remember. It said Zobo or something, but it was Zobo with more on the end, and it just sounded so much more so really exciting. Sounded like a real party drink, but I can't remember what it was.
Anyway, I've lost track again.
I don't remember. Sorry.
Anyway, it's based on a soft drink, not fermented or anything, and they put garlic in it.
Yeah.
Who put garlic in what?
The soft drink that this beer is based on has garlic in it.
No
garlic beers on the horizon then, Brett.
How about this one?
Zobo. That's it.
Zobo.
Zobo.
That sounded great.
It makes me think of sorrow. If you drink 5 pints of this, you'll wake up with a Z on your forehead.
Oh man, yeah. And then Laura's given us some insights. Lacancia.
Cool.
That's how she would pronounce it.
Good science.
Good.
Yeah.
Good science. Hello, Merrick.
Merrick's on.
Oh, hi, Merrick.
So here's another one of the past Wild Beer crew and Wild Beer team, Merrick. He has left us, sadly, but thank you, like I said to Alex. He left to set up his own brewery in Czech, and he's going to be doing some really cool things. So keep your eyes out for that. Really excited about that. With Zobo, we haven't written this on the can because we are still testing and still working to confirm it all. But this beer has been gluten reduced. It is this isn't official, so it's not on the can, but it should be safe for people with a gluten intolerance to drink. So we use a special enzyme that helps to clarify the beer, but also that chops up the extra gluten to make it consumable and digestible. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty exciting. Again, science and live little tiny critters, or enzymes aren't live critters, are they? Are they critters? I don't actually know. You went to uni, Jane.
No, not critters.
No.
No. Well, no, because there are enzymes that we activate in the malt when we do mashing, Brett. So not critters.
No, yes, of course not. I didn't think they were, but that's why I was a bit. So we've got a question. I was gonna move it on to Madness as well, but the question was not that one. No, they are proteins. Thank you, Sam. This is why you always want to. Do we have kickball in this country?
Kickball? I think we call it football.
Football? No, it's a different game. What do you call it? Like a kid's game. Like, no, I won't say it. I can't think of what I'm going to say. Anyways, I can't think of how to say it. Just Kirsty's asked if we have any collabs lined up. Well, I'll talk a little bit. We're going to talk just a bit about some of the new beers that we have coming up imminently. Don't have any. We actually don't have any collaborations coming up. I don't think. Do we?
No.
Okay.
No. No. COVID hasn't been very nice about that. About just, a lot of collaborations are kind of born out of international events and I was going to say parties, beer festivals. Beer festivals. Yeah. Well, they're kind of like that network and that working together, putting on an event together, and often over dinner tables and talking about flavors or processes and creating new flavors. And, oh, you do that kind of fermentation. I've never done that. And maybe that'll work with this kind of flavor that we do. And then we start conniving and creating a new beer right there and then. And then months later, we create a new beer. And with COVID going on, it's hard to create those connections and create those conversations. Not to mention, it's always so helpful when you have a little something about Mary going on with your hair going. What's that?
I like it.
So in collaboration is always really helpful and kind of nice to have the guest brewer come and visit, and you actually kind of get mucked in. You go for a lunch, all those things, and
living the high life, eh?
Living the high life. But next, Madness. So we'll talk about some of the new beers we have coming up instead of collaborations. So sorry about that. Don't actually have the collaborations. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up on my little ramble there. I wasn't paying attention to anybody chatting.
So I was just really impressed at the pouring sound that Jane got there.
Woof.
I'm going to try.
Oh, we got Mr. Colin.
Woof.
Mr. Colin Strong. What is going on there, James? You got glitter beer, like thick beer. What's happening? Oh.
Hey, I was just trying to do the sound. Jane did a really nice audio pour.
I think
I wasn't aware.
Colin, just How's it going, Colin? Just give you a bit, 2 minutes. This is Colin, head brewer at Salt. Really great brewer. And go check out what they make and they're putting out there. Great imperial stouts. Good IPAs. Really good. So also definitely wouldn't doing a beer with you, Colin, because it got asked by put you on the spot there.
Did you say you wouldn't do a beer with Colin?
Yeah, I wouldn't do a beer with Colin. Definitely not. No.
Yeah, Colin.
Wouldn't do it. So, but Kirsty asked, who would you want to when you can? I would definitely. I've been wanting to work with Colin on put our heads together, make something up for a long time. It'd be pretty neat to do a barrel aged type thing with him, even in getting him to do a blend with us, invite him into a barrel aged blending.
They are so much, but they're like my most favorite collaborations, because with a beer collaboration, like the head brewer comes over and they dick about all day and they come and dig out the mash and then like put their name on the beer. And like, what have you done? You said like put something in, and then they bugger off and you never see them again. But when you're doing a blend, people actually get involved. Like when we had Erwin over from Van Mol, like Big Mike from Cascade, although I did the same as what I just described to him, I think. He came over and he's like, I want to taste some barrels. I'm like, I haven't even drilled holes in half the barrels and I can't find the drill. So I took him on a tour of Somerset instead. And
oh no, did we not taste the barrels?
We tasted like a handful of them.
Oh,
but
no.
not that hand, the other hand.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Andrew's got a really good point. The lunches are epic usually.
They are, and I've managed to get myself onto a couple of lunches, and they've been brilliant. Like Jerome from BFM,
yeah,
it was amazing meeting him, and Soren from 8 Wired, and talking about things I'm not going to bring up now.
Okay,
they were great.
But if the lunches are good, then can I please get in on when we start doing collaborations again and going out for lunch again? I'd like to get in on that, please. That sounds good.
You need to come up with ideas. You need to set up these collaborations. You need to make them happen. But the point of the matter was, blending collaborations are brilliant. You just like try a few beers. It's all pretty relaxed, and then you put something together. Like what's that?
Air of Grandeur.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that's my favorite blending collaboration was the Arizona Wilderness Air of Grandeur.
Oh, yeah, that has
a very special beer.
They came over and they had been to a cider farm the night before. Or the cider farm, and they were all hanging, like you could see it in their eyes, and they're all like deep Arizonian people. Not Amazonian, Arizonian.
Arizona.
They're all like, yeah. We're like, oh, try all these sour imperial stouts. That'll wake you up. And they put the best blend together. It was brilliant. Like I was just like standing back, and Brett and the main guy, I can't remember his name, just like chatting away through all these beers. And they put this blend together, and it was awesome. And we did like 800 liters, and I wish we'd done a lot more. We need to get those. We should...
Yes, and I think
that is very true. Thank you. And that is the end of my story.
and Sam's there. His picture's there as one of the roadies. He was pushing all this on the stage. So Madness though. Just get on to Madness, and because it's a definite, we've kind of done a little bit of palate whack-a-mole. We've done a whack-a-mole with your palate. How about that? That's a bit clearer. Sour, light, bitter, sour, and Madness IPA. Definitely carbonated. It does not taste of salami.
No, and salami. I've been eating salami.
Yes. Oh man, just all these lunch comments. Don't keep coming up.
Oh, Alex with the barbecue every time.
Yeah, very good. We have done a couple barbecues. Yes, barbecue, please. Kirsty, what have you done?
I have sorry, I'm just got a message that I've got to laugh at, but I can't.
Madness IPA 2021. So back in when was it?
Back in
2010 or 2011 or so. Andrew and I were working at the Bristol Beer Factory, and I was on Twitter, like any good employee, and looking, and I saw.
Is this why we're not allowed to play on our phones at work?
That creepy little like, what are you doing? No, no, and I was on Twitter and I followed. So when I was brewing and working at the Bristol Beer Factory, that was in my kind of what I feel as though I was really focused and training myself and learning and absorbing as much as I could. And I was following lots of brewers and people in the industry trying to glean, and I was emailing questions to different people, trying to glean information and how to learn how to make beer better, make our beer better. And I noticed that one of the kind of brewing rock stars, people I would looked up to and read, they've always been generous with their knowledge. He's a head brewer, and he was the head brewer at Stone Brewery in San Diego, a very big brewery, very important in like the West Coast brewing scene and US brewing scene.
I think they were one of the first people to put donuts in beer.
Really?
Or make donut flavor beer.
Okay. No.
They did the donut and bacon.
No, that's Rogue.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. No, I'd just like to apologize to Stone Brewing.
Yeah, no, that's Rogue. So this guy's name is Mitch Steele. So give a shout out to Mitch if you're watching. Who knows? But I noticed that he was in England at Wadworth's brewery, making a beer for what's that massive pub chain that has no music?
Oh, Wetherspoons.
Wetherspoons, there we go. Doing their international brewing collaboration thing, right? So he was making a West Coast IPA on cask at Wadworth's, and he broke their heat exchanger because he put too much hops in it. It was great. But I met him, I tweeted him and said, hey, I'm a Californian, I'm learning how to brew, and I'm a brewer learning how to brew in Bristol. If you find any time, come on up and visit. I'll give you a tour of the brewery. And he replied saying, yeah, well, I'd love to. I've got a free day. I'll come on up. And so he came over, got to meet one of my brewing heroes at the time. Incredible, like I said, very generous with his knowledge and time. And Andrew and I showed him around. I don't think we had lunch, sadly. But I remember him
being able to afford that, would you?
No, probably not. It wouldn't be like what we're talking about. But one of the things
sandwich, Mitch.
One of the things that he said was he was talking about West Coast IPAs, and he was like, I remember a comment that he said was just like, I know it's just amazing. It's just madness how much hops we try to get into the kettle and how much hops we're using. And a few years later, flash forward to opening up the Wild Beer Company, and Madness IPA is one of the first beers that we made. And I said this story, or Andrew and I were remembering this story about Mitch, and it's just if you're not thinking to yourself, this amount of hops is just mad, then you're probably not making the right kind of IPA. So that's the story of Madness IPA, the story of the name. Hopefully that was coherent and clear. I don't know. Sometimes I can't give clear stories, but there it is. It's a very long story for Madness IPA.
That was good though. You like had a end.
Yeah.
There was a start in the middle. I'm not sure which order, but there was an end. I've got to say one thing about Madness.
Good.
I really miss the cans with Andrew's face on it.
Ooh,
I always thought
I had
that
a
was
picture of that.
Johnny with the crazy eyes. But yeah, I do miss that can art. It's an amazing drink. We used to bottle it and we'd like have a underfill by our side and just have a swig of it throughout the day. It was lush. It's just like, this is the epitome of like a good IPA for me.
This one or the last or when
All of them.
Okay, good.
Just like a solid West Coast IPA.
Yeah.
My understanding of a solid West Coast IPA is based on Madness.
Wow.
Well,
And it's one of 2 brews that I've nearly fucked up.
Because you usually fuck up the other ones.
No, I never. I'm a pretty solid brewer. I never wanted to brew beer. I wanted to have like, I was really happy doing the barrels and being like a goosery kind of guy, a barrel guy. And then they made me brew. And the 2 brews that I fucked up were the biggest brews.
Yeah.
So it's Wildebeest and Madness. And I did the opposite thing. On Wildebeest, I accidentally put really hot water into it. Well, on Madness, I accidentally put cold water as well as hot water into it. So Madness was my first step mash, which became my first decoction mash.
Yeah.
But it still worked. It still made the final product.
So,
and
and
with the Wildebeest, I think that was one of the first Wildebeest that fermented really well and didn't become Winey Beast for a long time.
We ferment everything really well. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about, James? Everything ferments wonderfully.
Yeah.
So,
very happy yeast.
So, Jane, what? It looked like you were going to say something about Madness.
Well, it was only because James was talking about it so fondly, and I think it is a beer that has a very special place in the heart of a lot of people who work at Wild, have worked at Wild, maybe will work at Wild in the future. Like, I remember very clearly because it says on the can, Madness was our original West Coast IPA brewed from 2012 to 2018. And I remember very clearly in my mind the team meeting we had at the end of 2018 when we said, that's it, we're not going to make Madness again. And like, that was quite a sad moment. Like, it's a beer that everyone's really fond of.
Yeah.
And obviously we did make more Madness, and then we've done this really great 2021 Madness, and it was a lovely evening before we centrifuged it. So before it was even done being ready, and we all sat round as a team, or a load of us stayed after work, and just to drink Madness. Like, I don't know, it's a beer unlike any other in that it's a very, it seems to have captured the hearts of a lot of the people in the team, and that makes it pretty special in itself.
I think you're right. You're right. Good campaign. Bring Madness back. Bring Madness.
Yeah.
You can't let it go.
Let's get it going. I think Marek would spearhead that campaign from the Czech Republic.
Yeah. And Marek, who has recently left us, he told me that when he moved to the UK a number of years ago, he had a can or bottle of Madness IPA, and he told his friend, he said, I'm going to brew this beer one day. I'm going to get there and I'm going to brew this beer. And sure enough, he got here and he brewed the beer. Hopefully he brewed Madness. I don't remember if you brewed this one.
I think
He
that was
must
the
have
day he
done.
handed in his resignation, wasn't it? He actually brewed this batch, didn't he?
I think he did. I hope.
then left.
I like to think he did.
It's a lovely, yeah.
It meant a lot to him.
We've still got a keg of it in the hop store at work that he took off from the tank directly. So we'll have to crack that at some point. But it's yeah.
So
Yeah.
Madness IPA is brewed to be a classic West Coast IPA. There are many forms of IPA. You have to do finger movements on each letter, IPA. So the West Coast style IPA it's stronger. So it's around 6% to like 7.5% alcohol. So quite bold in its alcohol. It is assertively bitter. It generally has notes of citrus, kind of grapefruit, orange, lemon, lime, like peel and pith, but also that zesty, zingy character.
I'm just thinking when we were tasting Cool Ship barrels the other day, someone described one of our blends as dank, which was very fitting, but in the olden days, as such, back in 2014, 5-6 years ago, West Coast IPAs were dank, weren't they?
Yeah, so you get this certain, so in making IPA, you're right, you have, that's kind of the flavor character that, because you're looking for a very low amount of malt flavor, you're looking for quite a pale beer, you're looking for a light body, so a very effervescent. You're not really looking for a lot of malt flavor, so it's not really that sweet either. You're wanting everything to be pointing towards those hops, and not, it's balanced. Everything is balanced and tipping the scale towards. So balance isn't the word, but the balance is
beyond balance.
Yeah, the balance is tipping away from all the other flavors and pointing towards a big, full 360-degree flavor and aroma of hops.
And you've got the alcohol, the high alcohol, just pushing those flavors out into your face.
It's great.
My mate's dad, he got I don't know if he got a 24-pack or a cask or a keg for his birthday. He was banned from drinking Madness because he got so pissed on it. And he's like a big drink. He's like a proper London lad. He drives the bus, and dirty den. And yeah, his wife said he's never allowed to drink it again because it is nearly 7%. It has got quite a kick.
Yeah, and the old one was the original one was 6.8% alcohol. This is 6.5. Was trying to lighten it up just that little bit. And also with this particular one, excuse me, in this particular one, we haven't used the classic West Coast hops. So those classic hops are all focused around citrus generally. We've actually used some hops that are much more kaleidoscope in flavor. Quite a lot of Equinaut. I'm just looking at the side to remind myself because
it's not there, Brett.
Oh no, it just went out of my brain.
It's not there.
I know that we use quite. Oh, gosh, just like Russ's name. It's just
Nelson Sabion and Hull Melon.
No, I don't think. No.
Oh no, sorry, that was Murmur.
Yeah, that was Murmur. No, but I know we used quite a lot of Equinaut. Equinaut Cryo was quite a big one in this beer. Showcase hop. And you get a lot more kind of fruit salady notes. What are you guys smelling and tasting in that? You two.
No, not pineapple. Pumpkin seeds. I've got that classic
Every time.
This is very much more East Coast in flavour for me. An English East Coast IPA.
But we did use. I'm pretty sure we used an East Coast yeast, or possibly, I don't know. Oh no, that's the other way around. I got it the wrong way around. Sorry. We bought in specifically a West Coast yeast for this one, didn't we? And then lots of very fruity hops, which is really exciting. Like you say, not just the kind of citrus, piney, traditional. You've got that lovely clean fermentation from the yeast, which allows those really fruity hops that we've put in to kind of pop out a bit.
Yeah.
As Marek would say, a mid-coast IPA.
Mid-coast.
It's clear, but dank. No, it is that. It's clear, but fruity.
Yeah, that character of dank. So when doing hop selection, so in a great segue into a little plug for the next tasting for those who are interested, which you should be interested.
You better be interested.
The hops are key in brewing these beers. As you can tell, that is what these IPAs are all talking about, is hops. They're not really talking about malt. They're not really talking about yeast that much. We make a beer an IPA that is like that, but not this West Coast style. And when every year, myself and part of the team select hops for the next year's brewing. And that is really important. So you kind of get your finger on the pulse of what is the land and the farmers and the technology able to kind of express all the aroma of the hop. And in doing so, I get to go to get the massive luxury and amazing trip of lucky is the word I was looking for, not luxury. It's definitely not luxury with jet lag.
I was going to say with Jim.
Yeah, with Jim. No, lucky, really lucky to be able to do it. But I get to go to America or to Germany and within Europe and do hop selection. And in that, I get a little brief intro into how other brewers do it. So we rub hops and smell them. And that dank character that you were picking up, James, kind of smell of marijuana or kind of dank, rich mustiness that you get as well from hops, that can be quite a signature flavor. And that hop rubbing is really important to make sure you capture that and include it in your recipes the following year. And in this particular beer, I think you get a little bit of that. But I think you get more like overripe fruit. And the next tasting box is going to be all about hops. And like I said earlier in the show, the next tasting box is going to be all about hops, and it's celebrating an English IPA that we created and are showcasing hops grown from a single farm. So they're grown at Brookhouse Farms, and the beer is going to be called Babbling Brook. You've got a little rotating ticker going on at the bottom of your screen, giving you a 10% off code for the next tasting box. I think it's going to be that code is going to be useful for a day, maybe, or more. But there's pre-orders available right now on the online shop if you're interested. So you can there's two different box options. One is just focused on, there's 3 Babbling Brook and 3 Wild IPA with, Madness IPA. 3 Babbling Brook and 3 Madness IPA, and an IPA glass. I finally opened up my brew sheet for the Madness IPA, and Sam has
Well done, Brett.
he's just messaged in saying the hops. Here we go. Finally.
Oh, Sabro.
Sabro,
Yeah.
obviously.
That's the other one. I had
Right.
Centennial in my head. That's been in my head for ages. But yeah, Sabro.
I knew it was some kind of new age hippie hop, not one of the classics.
So those are the key hops in this beer that you guys are drinking right now, the Madness IPA. Simcoe and Centennial, very classic West Coast IPA. Centennial gives this kind of, juicy fruit gum. I don't know if you've had that specific brand, juicy fruit. It's a yellow label. You're going to get this juicy fruit flavor, but also citrusy.
Tutti frutti.
Tutti frutti. I don't know if that's the same thing, but Simcoe.
Like a licorice, like the same people that made licorice, but it's not a licorice.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. And then Simcoe, which is really piney, grapefruity, very bitter. But Equinaut and Sabro are very new school, fruity, kind of. Sabro is really odd, kind of coconut, lime, this really mashup of flavors, really amazing and unique. I really like it, especially in fruit beers, dry hop fruit beers. I think it works really, really well. And Equinaut from Australia, really nice. Looks like we've got for the next tasting case. Yeah, Gemma has just put a link into the chat room, and what is it? Alex is telling us we're going to be centrifuging Babbling Brook on Monday.
Asking. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the Babbling Brook is going to be really. I personally, tasting it is really good and really amazing. Doesn't taste like an English IPA, I would say, like a classic English IPA. It's like kind of this hybrid and definitely new kind of flavor. So
we should centrifuge it. I think we should just pack it hazy.
We'll work on that. We'll talk about that. Yeah. But
we're going to pull off some kegs before we centrifuge it. Just for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you better get in quick, James. Are you in on Monday?
Yeah. That's
quick. Bring your kegs quickly. It's you've got lots to do in the cellar on Monday.
What we got is mini kegs at the moment. Mini kegs. I hear with it.
I saw Calamancification had gone live on the website for mini kegs.
Has Miss Adventure gone live yet?
So that's one thing that's been new with lockdown. So not only has lockdown given us this kind of format of sharing and doing events, which has been pretty cool, it's also provided some new ways of sharing, some new formats of beer. So we have mini kegs. They're not always I won't say it that way. That's not a great way to say it. We have mini kegs. So we're a brewery, and the whole goal of a brewery is to get amazing beer into your glass and then into your mouth, and you enjoy it, you tell your friend, and also get another one, right? To be amazed, have a cool experience, and all the way in between, from ordering and finding those hops all halfway around the world and then getting to your home is a teamwork experience. And often before lockdown, it was all about like a pub landlord who had a whole profession in pouring a pint of beer. But now in lockdown, we serve mini kegs and you're the pub landlord. So you have to have a learning lesson to how to store your beer well, how to pour a perfect pint. And that all comes from mini kegs. And that's what we have on our online shop. that was maybe really disjointed. I don't know, but I found that the mini kegs that we do, that anybody does, it really shows, like, you know, we can put a beer in a bottle, open it up, one serving, or a can. But once you put it into more than one serving, it puts so much onus and on the person who's pouring it to like treat it well. And like, you've got to put it in the fridge, you've got to close the top. It's like a whole learning experience. To make that foolproof is really difficult. And so you can join in that teamwork of getting the perfect pint from using a mini keg. That's been my experience with mini kegs. We need more teammates.
I'm kind of picturing you, Brett, at home with like 12 mini kegs on your like kitchen windowsill with like CO2 coming into them and everything. You've got like a whole bar for yourself.
Yeah.
A 5-litre bar. 2-gallon bar, all for yourself. But yeah,
guys, before this goes way too much more rambling, just want to say thank you to Jane and James for joining into this and sharing stories and your personalities. It's been a joy to be brewing and working with you during lockdown.
And you too, sir.
Yeah, likewise, Brett. Thank you.
And thank you for
sharing
all this.
Thank you for inspiring and hiring us.
Selling you your job on the online shop.
Yeah.
I didn't realise they were for sale on the online shop. I wouldn't have gone to the hassle of an interview if I'd known that.
Well, I used the Friends 100 code. I didn't think
Friends 100.
It was good.
Just looking at
good work, well done.
What's he saying? I was under the impression that mini kegs are the next level of shotgun situation. Yeah. Yeah.
And then also, here's one, just as I did a quick little ramble about the hops. I'm not going to tell you this answer right now. You can tune in to the next online show is going to be the 5th, I believe, if that's a Friday, or hit the link. Definitely hit the link to confirm which day it is.
I thought it was next. I thought it was 31st.
No, it's in February, James. Definitely.
And yeah,
I care not for time anymore.
But it's not looking bad. Definitely not looking bad, and definitely looking bright, I'd say.
I'm really excited about this beer.
Yeah.
Because I tried some today.
But you were excited before you tried some today, James. I mean, you've been pretty excited since the hops arrived for us to rub and sniff.
I've been fully excited about this beer since the idea came along.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the idea before the idea was suggested. And then the idea was suggested, and like it's exactly what I hoped it would be. It's banging.
It is exactly what I don't know. Yeah. It needs to get in the can. It needs to get in the can. It needs to get settled down, calm down in can for a couple of days, and then let's taste it. Jury's out. I think the subtleties, like British hops, have often. Why are we talking about that? We're drinking Madness IPA. But
I'm not. I've drunk mine.
Yes.
I'm on Quantic. IPA session IPA. But yeah,
I had yeah.
What else is in the box?
So you've got two options, not 4. You got 2 options for the next tasting box. It's an IPA tasting box, and we're going to be talking to the hop farmers, as we talked about. And then you've got either just the 3 Babbling Brook and 3
the boring box.
What's that mean?
The boring box.
No, yes, the boring box.
Or the
you can have
I think we call it the connoisseur's box, don't we? The
connoisseur's box,
Yeah.
which is let me see. Okay, yeah. Let me see if I can remember all this. A Quantic IPA, Nebula IPA, 2 Madness, 2 Freestone, 2 Limonita, 2 Babbling Brook, and a Ripper.
And a Ripper. That's what he was waiting for. Just the Ripper, Brett.
I know.
But I was like, Freestone.
Did I say?
Yeah, you said Freestone. I really want to make that like standard everyday beer.
Like you want us to make more of it, or?
I mean, I want to get rid of all the other beers, and we just make Madness and Freestone, sour beers, like Ripper.
Yeah.
Maybe every now and again, and Cool Shit.
Yeah.
And Babs.
And Babs and other ones.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of other ones right now.
Yeah.
Cool Shit, Babs.
We've got such a strong turnout from the Wild Beer Co team. It's really great to see everybody in here. Thanks so much for joining in. Oh, Dan's finally joined in with a bit of bands.
I don't think every time, like literally throughout the whole thing, I've been smiling about things that weren't anything that you said, and that was what Dan has sent me a personal message about. He's been joining in the whole time. If I look like I got wind or something, that's because Dan's been sending me a message.
So the connoisseur's box is one that definitely James is excited about.
I'm kind of excited about it because for about a year and a half now, well, a year until it happened, I've been thinking about why don't we do a raw IPA? How would a raw IPA work?
And I would say, nah. I always told you to write it down. Tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, Brett doesn't like reading. So if he tells you to write something down, that's because he's not going to read it. But it's not only you as well. Marek was like, "What the fuck are you?" I lived with Marek for what, a year and a half, 2 years, and he was like, "What the fuck are you on about? This is a stupid idea." And who's that?
So Ripper is a raw IPA that uses loads of Galaxy hops, and you'll be able to, if you can get the connoisseur's box, you can try that there, or you can just buy it for yourself whenever you want. But on the tasting we do with Brookhouse Farm, we're going to definitely try and taste the Babbling Brook and the Madness IPA again. Talk about hops and the difference between West Coast and English IPAs, and West Coast, American hops and English hops, some of the industry stuff. It's going to be I think it's going to be quite a different show, very enlightening, very interesting, I think.
Are we going to do that? Can we send out like a little bag of hops for people to rub?
So I'm working on that. I've asked them if they have the facility to send out a little dime bag of hops.
Yeah, a little piss pot.
I don't know about that, but
that's what I keep my hops in.
Oh, James. So hopefully we can do that. I didn't want to promise that, but hopefully we will be able to have a little sample of actual hops there, so you can rub it and smell it and see what we're talking about, smell what we're talking about, and get that green gold on your hands, which is how you really appreciate it as a brewer, and you can see that. So hopefully it's a real full-on experience. I can't guarantee that yet. We're still working on the logistics, but fingers crossed we can make that work.
So
but
if we sent them a gram of hops, they could make 100 ml of beer at 10 grams per litre.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could.
Money earlier then.
Yeah. So, everybody, thank you for joining in. It's been about an hour and a half or so, I think, or probably a bit more.
Yeah, it's been a long one. 20 to 10, Brett.
I know, been a long one, but thank you so much, James and Jane. We have a number of new beers coming up, brand new coming out. So keep your eye out on the online shop, on our social feeds. We have a wine barrel-aged lager, which has been incredible. It pushed James and my communication strategy with each other. It's pushed our knowledge of barrel aging and blending. It's pushed Laura, the lab hobbit's knowledge on how to keep a beer clean in an oak barrel. We've got that
team to make sure it gets through cleanly.
Yes.
It's going into can, and we've never done a barrel aged beer into can before.
No. So there's a bunch of cool stuff.
Really, really exciting.
And then Mr. Richard Simpson, who is right here. See you next time, you marvelous fella.
I don't think he's missed a show, has he?
His malt is in every single one of our beers. So thank you very much, Richard Simpson from Simpson's Malt. Actually, we used quite a lot of someone else's malt in that lager. We won't talk about that right now. Sorry. That was the Fireman one.
Yeah.
What was the other beers we had coming up? We did my page turned.
Antioxidant.
And yeah.
Liripip Spice, which is ginger, turmeric, and loads of orange. So this is kind of helping to kind of clean you out after the holiday season. It's going to be coming out soon.
It's not got cranberry in it.
No, but turmeric.
That's a good
anti-inflammatory, antitoxin kind of character. And then the Babbling Brook. And there's also more beers coming up after that. So
that'd be well.
Keep your eyes out for those. And the next tasting box. So in just 2 weeks, you're going to see more of me babbling on about Babbling Brook. Well, that was good. And I think that's all I got to say.
Buy some Ripper. It's a Ripper. It's a Ripper.
It's a Ripper.
Named after my tendency to do an Australian accent.
All right. Thank you, Jane. Thanks,
Jane. Oh, thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye, everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for buying the box. It's been so helpful to talk to you and chat and have fun.
Hope you've had a good time, people.
Yeah, awesome.
Enjoyed the beers.